Hello, I'm Michelle Casorla, and I'm a professor of English at Georgia State University Perimeter College in Dunwoody, Georgia. And I am here to talk about what it means when we say project-based learning and how you scaffold out a class and what it means to be a gamer in your grade. So I'm going to get right into it. So last video, I talked a little bit about what it means to plan out a project-based learning class, and that's really what you need to do when you're teaching with AI. You got to do project-based learning. Now, why do we have to do project-based learning? Because we used to assess our students on products, because it was before AI, if they did a product like an essay or like a project for engineering or something, we could be pretty well assured that the student probably did it themselves and it was the pinnacle of their academic achievement up to that point, and they were going to be putting all the stuff that they learned into that product. Okay, and we ran into a situation where our students, of course, can easily use AI to create that product. So the product no longer proves that our students are learning. So what are we going to do next? How are we going to assess our students? How are we going to create our classes in a way that AI does not circumvent what we're doing for learning? So the answer, of course, is to use project-based learning and to use scaffolding and to use process rather than product-based learning. So here's how this works. When you had a product that you used to use, for example, with me, it was an essay. If you're teaching history, maybe it's knowledge of World War II, or if you're teaching physics, maybe it's understanding how a body moves through air. So we all have these things in our disciplines that we want to teach, and they're important for our students to learn. So they're milestones. And we created projects out of those. Okay, so now project-based learning means that we're going to work everything up to that project. All right, so what I'm going to do for my students is I'm not going to scaffold out skills. I'm not going to teach them how to write a paragraph or how to spell something. No, no, no. AI can do that. I am going to scaffold my lesson. So I have an essay, an academic writing essay where I want them to do research. So I'm going to start out, for example, with having them write a research proposal that they're using AI to help them create. So there's going to be specific questions. I'm going to have a process that I use with AI for the students to get a great research project out of working with Perplexity, for example. Then I'm going to have them take that and work it into some academic paragraphs. So I'm going to use a Socratic tutor to do that. And then after they learn how to write an academic paragraph, I'm going to have them write 3 academic paragraphs. Then I'm going to talk about how to write an introduction. And then I'm going to talk about how to write a conclusion. And I'm going to have them write an introduction, have them write a conclusion. And they're going to be using AI all the way through these processes. All right, and then in the final thing, they're going to be putting it all together into an essay. Now, the thing about this is I am not going to give them more points for turning in the essay, because all of the things they've done up to this point have led to the essay. So every single thing they do is going to count exactly the same amount. If I do that, then my students are reinforced to understand that it's the process that I'm interested in, not the product. So they could easily use AI to create the product, but it's going to be the process where I'm going to be looking closely in their development as a learner. What do I mean by scaffolding? I mean that they have to know how to get a research project put together with a really good research question before they can write a research paragraph and integrate. They're going to have lots of stuff that they're using for evidence before they can write that paragraph that's going to integrate that evidence. Then they're going to have that paragraph. They're going to have to understand how to write that before they can build 3 paragraphs. And then they're going to have to understand how to write the introduction to those 3 paragraphs with a really strong thesis, and then they're going to have to learn how to write a really good conclusion and a works cited. So each one of those things is going to be part of this project. So all the way through this, they're building that paper. Okay, so because they're all scaffolded on one another, I have decided to start grading like a gamer because I was thinking about it, and the one thing that our students all have in common is they all game. All right, they've all gamed in their past, or they game now, probably a lot more than we know. Um, and so, what does it mean to grade like a gamer? Well, as you know, when you don't do something right in a game, you just try it again, and you just try it again, and you just try it again until you get it. So I let them work and work and work on something until they get it right, because I think that's where the learning happens. And also, I have a couple of assignments where they have to earn the right to move to the next week. They can't see the next week until they've completed that assignment. So, for example, if they don't have a research um, outline, if they don't know what they're going to be researching, I'm not going to let them move in to knowing how to do research with AI, because what are they researching? I need to know what they're researching first. So they have to do that. They have to finish it. They have to finish their research proposal before they can move into doing actual research. So all of those things are scaffolded in my class. Now, this works really well with AI, but it also really works well with a new thing that is going to be challenging all of us, which is agentic AI. Those are agents that work autonomously. And you've seen them, you've seen examples of how agents work autonomously. And all you do is give the agent a goal, and it could go in your class, it could take all the quizzes, it could write all the papers, and it could turn them in, and your student isn't even in the class. The agent is working on their behalf, signing in with their credentials, and doing all the work. I know, it's very scary. But if I'm going to stop them with my LMS system, and I have the capability to do this, you can do this with Desire to Learn, you can do it with Moodle, you can do it with Blackboard. All of them have the capability to stop your students from progressing to the next week. Okay, and if I put something on there that says, for example, they have to get an 80% on this gateway assignment before they can see the next week, then they can't just run through my class with an agent and get all the grades. I'm going to be grading that. I'm going to be looking at that. I'm going to be making sure that they understand it before they move on. So I have more control over my classes because I'm grading like a gamer. Okay. Now, if you don't know how to scaffold your class, I'm going to just do a little bit of example here. Okay, so what I have here is a Notebook LM, which is my favorite tool, I'm going to tell you. If you follow any of my social media, you'll already know that. So what I've done is I put in all the information that I want for SA2 into my class info for 1102. And I'm going to then go into Notebook LM, and I'm going to ask it to scaffold out that SA2. So considering all the information in this notebook, I need to scaffold up to SA2. I want my students to be able to do all the things they need to do to build that essay in small, low stakes, process-based information. So I want you to take the role of an instructional designer and scaffold those lessons out for 4 weeks, meeting twice a week. So let's just see what it does. Okay, it took a little while. I turned off my recorder because it took so long. Anyway, but here we have this whole thing, and it's basing itself on all the things that I'm doing in my class. So exigence of the contest, why the issue is urgent, to what shape the controversy. Students learn this is an informational research, not an argumentative paper. That's correct. Okay, so in-class brainstorming, historical background, low stakes tasks, submit a paragraph explanation identifying 2 or 3 context lenses, your most crucial to your controversy. Gathering sources with Zotero is the next one for this first week. The second week, we're doing close reading with Notebook LM. We're doing quantitative context, drafting the introduction with a clear framework. And that clear framework is something that we created in our classes so that the students had something very specific: claim, lead-in, evidence, analysis, restate. It's basically the Peel formula, but we added a couple extra steps. Then we've got ethical AI revision and metacognitive polish. So we have those 2 steps there. So what it's done is, because it's pulling from all of this information that I've stuck in here, it's giving me a really nice scaffolded way to approach this text, okay? Then what we're going to be doing is I'm then going to ask it, I want to grade this on a flat grading model. All assignments count for the same amount. Please give me the list of assignments. Okay, so now I'm just going to have this nice list of assignments that I can stick right into my grading, my LMS, and I can start to build that out for my class. And yes, I'm going to work with that flat grading model because that's going to encourage my students to see this as a process, not as a product. So here's the written proposal, the Zotero library setup and works cited page, the annotated evidence log, the qualitative visual rhetoric exercise. So it's got them all set up, and they're all going to count for exactly the same thing. So I hope this was really helpful for you in understanding how to do that backwards design, how to figure out exactly what you should be doing when you're doing this, building up these processed based assessments and lessons, and how you need to make sure that you are doing something that is definitely good for AI, it works with AI, and it's going to be shifting away from product-based learning. I hope this was good for you. It was good for me. Take care.